Mockery turns into threats, fear spreads among the workers, and Jerusalem becomes both a construction site and a place of defense in Nehemiah chapter 4. As the wall begins to rise through the combined efforts of the people, Sanballat and his allies intensify their opposition, forcing Nehemiah to respond with prayer, vigilance, and practical preparation while refusing to abandon the work. When Sanballat heard that the Jews were rebuilding Jerusalem's wall, he became angry and greatly enraged. In front of his associates and the army of Samaria, he mocked the builders. What were these weak Jews doing? Did they really think they could restore the wall? Could they bring stones back to life from heaps of rubble that had been burned? Tobiah the Ammonite joined the ridicule. He claimed that even a fox climbing onto their stone wall would break it down. Nehemiah did not answer their insults directly. He prayed. He brought the contempt of their enemies before God, and then returned his attention to the work. The people continued rebuilding until the wall reached half its height, because they had a mind to work. But as progress increased, so did the opposition. Sanballat, Tobiah, the Arabs, the Ammonites, and the people of Ashdod became furious when they heard that repairs were advancing and the gaps in Jerusalem's wall were being closed. They plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem and create confusion. Nehemiah's response combined dependence upon God with practical action. The people prayed to God and posted a guard day and night. Then another problem emerged from within. The people of Judah were becoming exhausted. There was so much rubble that some began saying their strength was failing and they could not continue rebuilding. Meanwhile, their enemies were planning a surprise attack. They intended to enter Jerusalem unnoticed, kill the workers, and bring construction to an end. Jews living near the hostile groups repeatedly came and warned Nehemiah about the danger. So Nehemiah reorganized the people. He stationed families at the lowest and most exposed places behind the wall, armed with swords, spears, and bows. Then he looked over the situation and addressed the nobles, officials, and the rest of the people. "Don't be afraid of them," he told them. Instead, they were to remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and be prepared to fight for their families, sons, daughters, wives, and homes. When their enemies learned that their plans had been discovered and frustrated, the people returned to their work. But Nehemiah did not remove the precautions. From that day forward, only half of his men worked on construction, while the other half carried spears, shields, bows, and armor. The officers positioned themselves behind the people of Judah. Those carrying building materials worked with one hand and held a weapon with the other. Each builder wore a sword at his side while working. Nehemiah also kept a trumpeter beside him. Because the workers were spread across a large area of the wall, they could not always remain close to one another. Nehemiah therefore instructed them that whenever they heard the trumpet, they should gather at that location. "Our God will fight for us," he assured them. The work continued from the first light of dawn until the stars appeared at night. Nehemiah also instructed those living outside Jerusalem to remain inside the city overnight with their servants, so they could help guard the city during the night and work during the day. The commitment became intense. Nehemiah, his relatives, his men, and the guards remained constantly prepared. They did not even take off their clothes except when necessary, and each kept his weapon ready. Nehemiah 4 reveals that rebuilding Jerusalem required more than enthusiasm. The people faced ridicule, exhaustion, fear, and genuine threats. Yet Nehemiah did not respond to every challenge in exactly the same way. He prayed when mocked, posted guards when threatened, encouraged the discouraged, and reorganized the workforce when circumstances changed. That gives this chapter a particularly useful lesson. Perseverance is not simply refusing to stop. Sometimes it means adapting wisely so that you can continue. Faith did not prevent Nehemiah from posting guards, and preparation did not mean he had stopped trusting God. They prayed and watched. They trusted and prepared. They built and remained alert. When circumstances changed, Nehemiah changed the strategy without changing the mission. That is sometimes what perseverance looks like in our own lives. We may need to adjust our approach, strengthen weak areas, or protect what we are building. Changing the method does not necessarily mean abandoning the purpose. Jerusalem's wall continues to rise, and the enemies outside have failed to stop the work. But the next challenge will come from somewhere more painful, inside the community itself. Nehemiah chapter 5 reveals a serious economic crisis among the Jewish people. Families are struggling with hunger, debt, taxes, and the loss of their land, while some wealthy Jews are exploiting their own people. Nehemiah's anger will now turn toward injustice within Jerusalem.